Welcome to the Top 200 podcast. With your
What's up, everybody? It's Herschel from High School Top 200, and this is the Monday morning meeting, the first one of 2022, and also the last season of High School Top 200. Thank you all for coming back. It's the first one of the year. That's the proper one to sort of start off the season, and so. Every year I kind of reintroduce what High School Top 200 is, because we've got like new year 11s, new year 12s. Some people don't know what High School Top 200 is, or they're just reintroduced to the level of first 15 rugby and how big it actually is. So for this year we're going to because it's the last year, I do want to explain it so that everyone knows, has an understanding of how things work in terms of the rankings. As you may notice, I'm in a different place, obviously in a room of a fanatic NBA fan, and especially of LeBron. And even though I am a fan of LeBron, this is not my room. This is my brother's room. And I'm in a new place. So... things are going to look different. Things are probably going to look like this whenever you see me on here recording. But I wanted to start this year off with first explaining why this is the last year. This is my 9th year of doing High School Top 200, and I've loved every minute of it. You know, this is not an easy job just to do. Like, you have to really love like what you're doing, especially when it's something like this, because it's not easy to then, you know, not just go out on a Saturday morning, but you're going out on a Saturday morning watching kids that you don't have any kind of family relation to. You don't know these kids from anything. All you do is just admire the talent that they have and respect the hard work that they've put in every single day leading up to this year that they make first team rugby. And then I personally get to go out and appreciate everything that they've done to become that good. You know, it's not an easy thing to go in and then train every single day for things that you wouldn't be able to do. It's just a hard thing to train every day for sort of no one to really notice. I guess that's what it is. And so I'm kind of that guy that goes out there and appreciates, tries to expose them to and put them out there to the world so that everyone else can admire them the same. And like, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm like a big fan of all these guys. Even when they move on to, Super Rugby and All Blacks and things like that, I still kind of personally see all these guys in their school first 15 uniforms. To me, it's kind of like that. And I love watching it from this start point. You know, I like watching them from first 15 rugby. I think a lot of times we forget that they have all this growth before they actually hit the TV screen. And I want to be able to make sure that every kid, at least as much kids as I can't say every kid, but as much kids as I can, feel appreciated that somebody else is there to watch them and admire the talent that they have. Obviously, people around my age do not understand how hard some of these guys train, because they train a lot like professionals, especially at these higher, these bigger football, these bigger rugby programs. And so that is just something that I want to kind of give back in my own way. The reason why I started up High School Top 200 was so that boys could get as much opportunities as they can to make rugby a profession for them. Not everybody is going to get it. You know, the percentage rate of making it to the pros in Super Rugby anyway is 3.4%. And so obviously not everyone's going to make it, but that doesn't mean that you can't help with the opportunities and giving these boys as much options as I can. My thing is to make sure that I go to games, take pictures of the boys, make sure I can get as much clear pictures of their face, watching them, putting them in action, getting little clips of them playing, posting it up on my website, and then when the phone calls come from agents, from scouts, from franchises, from NRL clubs, from overseas, and they say, who is this boy? I'm able to give as much information as I can on that player, and that is what I'm here for. I am here for the players, which is also sort of the downfall as well, that I am not here on behalf of New Zealand Rugby at all. I am not here on behalf of any team or any franchise or any whatever. I'm really just here for the boys and making sure that they have they can get as much opportunities as they can while they're in high school and sort of hunting for that career in rugby. Now, I am giving up high school top 200 because without the help of New Zealand Rugby and being able to collaborate on different projects with them, I wouldn't be able to do as much as I can to really help the boys. And that's kind of been the main focus for me over the last 5 years, is trying to get open and honest sit downs with New Zealand Rugby and really trying to connect and make this work so that we can do more things for the boys. If you have a look around New Zealand Rugby, and if you look around the first 15, under 15 level and high school rugby in itself, you're not going to find anything but me. You're not going to, you'll get Sky Games with no context. That's all you get is just the Sky Games. You don't really know any backstories of any players or schools or how they're doing throughout the year or anything like that. It's just me. And so I've always wanted to work with New Zealand Rugby on this and on this level. I don't have aspirations of doing anything for the pros or even under 20s or under 19s. Like, for me, it's more about first 15 rugby, under 15s, and kids that are in high schools. But because New Zealand Rugby governs pretty much the sport here in New Zealand, I personally can't do anything but do this by myself and do it, without any kind of real attachment with them, because our focuses are different. Obviously, New Zealand Rugby will want the strength of rugby in New Zealand in terms of having as much people participate in rugby, much people, signed up with New Zealand Rugby, making sure that boys stay in New Zealand and play rugby, things like that. Where mine is different. My focus is more on the player themselves. I have no problems telling a kid to go to the NRL. I have no problems telling a kid to go to Japan or to France or to go to America. I have no problems with helping a kid go to the NRL, which I've done a lot. And I will help kids to go wherever the opportunity is for them to live out their dream of becoming a professional rugby player and hopefully give back to their parents like a lot of these boys do. Especially a lot of Māori and Island boys, a lot of the times they see their rugby skills, their league skills, as their way of at least trying to give back as much as they can to their parents. So for me, and my understanding of and knowing what that's like, I have no problems assisting in any way to help them get to where they need to be, even if it's outside of New Zealand. Now, on the other hand, that is something that really kills me, because that's exactly what New Zealand Rugby don't want. And I understand that. That's fine. Like, it's not really like, it's not a bad thing to me. Like, if they don't want to do that, that's up to them, But they're not there to promote leaving New Zealand. I'm there to promote sort of the rugby player in itself. So, after these years of doing this, I've kind of come to this realization that if I don't have New Zealand Rugby, then all the other plans that I have in line is not going to work out either. And as much as I love doing this, I still have to be able to, you know, do the things that provide for my family the way that I want to, and even my goals as well. And so that's just what it's come to. And I guess after this, I mean, I don't know who else is going to do this level of work for high school rugby or be able to report on it. I mean, if anyone wanted to do this after me, man, hit me up and I'll just give you all my information. I don't care. You know, I don't care about that stuff. I'm not one of these guys that wants to hide information that I've got. I'm not one of these guys that wants to hold back and keep secret information. I was like, nah, it's like, that's not the way to help anybody. You know, so if that's what you want to do, like, follow me and then I'll, you know, help you out and help you get it started, because I feel sorry for a lot of these guys that are going to that are not going to be able to be able to be talked about, and they're not going to be able to be exposed to everybody else and the talent, and expose the talent that they have, you know, to the rest of the country. And that was kind of my goal at the beginning, is to make sure that as much kids get seen. Because, I mean, for instance, like, if you're here in the Waikato, you know, Waikato, they can't take everybody. Not everyone can get a development deal. Not everybody can get a scholarship or a contract or anything like that. But, you know, someone in Wellington may want them. You know, Southland may want them. You know, the Rebels may want them. And so, like, that's kind of the idea of it. It's just like, man, just because the opportunity is here in New Zealand doesn't mean that it's not a good opportunity. It's a great opportunity sometimes. Sometimes, and in most cases, it's a better opportunity. New Zealand only has so few, you know, so few spaces. We can tell from the All Blacks alone is that guys in the All Blacks play up to 50, 60 tests for the most part, like those that stick around. So that spot is taken up by one or two players for 50, 60 games, and that's easily a career over for a lot of players. That's why they look overseas, and that's why I'm here too. Is like, some boys may look at it and go, well, the guys that just made the All Blacks are only 2 years older than me, then, you know, the chances don't look that great of making it to the All Blacks. Maybe I should just go overseas and make some money, go to under 20s. I mean, look how many Kiwis are around the world playing, you know, rugby for other countries, and playing professional rugby in other countries, and making so much money as well that they're able to, you know, give back to their families, you know, probably, which was the goal in mind, you know, right from the beginning. And so that's what I wanted to do for High School Top 200 as a goal of mine, and I feel like I've done it for the most part. I just feel like I can do it a lot better, with a lot more focus, if it was with New Zealand Rugby helping back and forth and having that kind of arrangement. But you know, some of the meetings that we've had, blah blah blah, whatever, and it just hasn't worked out. So yeah, so this is going to be my last year of High School Top 200, and then after this, and after I guess finish it all off, I'll put up my last list and rankings to go into 2023, and I'll leave that up for as long as I can before I have to take it off. But in talking rankings, because this is going to be new for a lot of parents that have kids that have just made first 15, and whether being in year 13, year 12, or year 11. So they are ranked. This is called High School Top 200 for a reason. So the Top 200 stands for the top 200 first 15 rugby players in the country. A number 1 ranked player to a number 200 ranked player. So that's in the country. That's why it's called High School Top 200. Obviously, high school is the level that we're playing at. And week by week, after game by game, and all the footage that gets sent to me, or the games that get sent to me, or the huddles that I'm added to, and the games that I get to watch, on my opinion, this is just my opinion, make sure everybody knows that, I look at who the best players are in the country, and every 2 weeks the rankings change for players, and and also for teams based on your wins and losses and performance and playing and things like that. So it's not just one list and one ranking and then it's set and then that's what it is for the year. Players can go up and players can come down. Now, there is a top 200 and that's the players. There's also a top 100 school rankings. So that's the rankings of the top first 15s in the country all the way from 1 to 100. So I cover around, I think this year I'm going to be covering 133. Let me have a look. Yeah, 133 schools around the country. I'll be covering their wins and losses and making sure I talk to as much coaches and players and things like that as possible, and then get feedback from the games or footage from the games most of the time, and then I do my evaluation based on their wins and losses and also the opponents that they play. So, for example, right, if you and so the top competition this year would be the Super 8. It'll be the Super 8 first, the 1A will be second, the CNI will be third, the UC Championship, Miles Toyota Championship will be the fourth one, the Wellington competition will be, the Otago one will be the fifth one, and the sixth one will be the one down in Otago, and then North Harbour will be seventh. So depending on which competition that you play for and how hard the competition is also can affect your rankings. So, for example, like we take Southland boys. For the most part, they're going to run through their competition, and then their main games will be Otago boys, John McGlashan, and then also King's High School. Those three are going to be the main ones in their competition. So, all the other ones for them in terms of difficulty of the team, they've really got 3 games that they really concentrate on, and then depending on what other traditionals that they have, like if they go to Christchurch Boys or if they play, someone like King's College or Nelson or Timaru or whatever, they're also ranked on a base of who they actually play. Then you got someone like Hastings Boys who have to play Hamilton Boys, who have to play Rotorua, who have to play Palmy, who have to play New Plymouth and Tauranga Boys and Gisborne Boys. That is a harder run to go through than what Southland has to play. So, in terms of I guess scaling those, is that it depends on what competition also that you play in and how good your wins are. So, if you have Hastings, beating Palmy, that will override. That would be more of that will be more convincing of a win than Southland beating someone like Dunstan High School. Those, they may win by 50-5 or whatever over Dunstan High School, and you may look at the score and go, but they won by 55. It's like, yeah, but that's not. Hastings and Palmy are two higher ranked schools than that, even if the win was like 15-12 to Hastings. So that's also what I take into consideration when I look at all these scores from around the country. It's like, yeah, be cool, you got a good winning record. Southland may go all the year without losing a game, but it's what they've done with the 3, I guess, hardest games on their schedule. Also put up against what Hastings has done, or Scots College or Nelson College or whoever like that. Okay, so that's kind of how the ranking systems go for the teams. So the top 200 players in the country has got 1 ranking. Then the Year 12s have their own, which is the Year 12's top 100 players ranking. Then the Year 11s have their own, and that's the top 60. Now, the reason why I do that is so for the Year 11s that have just come into First 15, these are just the Year 11s that play First 15 rugby. There's not Year 11s that play, under 15s. There's not Year 11s that play in a second 15 or anything like that. These are just Year 11s that have played First 15 rugby. So if they played at least 4 games is what I've put it down to. If they played more than 4 games for their First 15, they're considered for the rankings. And what that really is just for is just to make sure that we know guys that have come and stepped up from under 15s going into first 15, and then we sort of get them going through that system. It's so that we as players, I guess the supporters can watch him and go, oh, cool, he's like the next guy coming through. He's the next talented ones coming through, all that kind of stuff. And I've done it all the way from guys like Kuntu Paia and Etienne Nanai and like those kind of guys as well. And they were part of that first lot that had the first top 60 year 11s. And so I've done it since they were 15-year-olds. And then, so any first 15 player, and that's why I put out the message to everyone is just like, if you are a year 11 player and you play in the first 15 and you want to be considered for the rankings, hit me up, let me know, and sort of make your case for why you should be a part of it. The year 12s is the other one, is that these guys are the ones that sort of make the biggest jump. It's just like you can go from year 11 to not, you don't really fit, it's not really working out, and to year 12 you may just, it's just like that, and then you finally get it. And that's what I kind of want, is that us to keep an eye on all those guys coming through. The next ones, and plus year 12s, is when you start getting your rep players coming through. Boys grow a lot bigger. Boys start to grow into their bodies, things like that. And the summertime can be a really, I guess, daunting time for some of these year 11s because, I've seen wingers go from winger to number 8 just within 4 months of a holidays. I've seen halfbacks grow into big stocky fellas that they've had to go into the front or into hookers, and then they end up being these guys that have really good ball skills, and they got a little sidestep on them and they can pass and all that kind of stuff, which adds all to it. So that's why year 12 is important as well. And also even as year 12s, the level between year 12s and year 13s is not that big of a jump. There's a bigger jump from year 11 to year 12, but there's just a small jump from year 12 to year 13. And so that's why I've got those rankings as well. And then we can follow them every single year. You're going to find that some of these year 11s you've been watching since last year, you'll follow them through to year 12s and then to year 13s, or whoever does this after me. And all of that is just performance-based. All of that is my opinion, performance-based, and what they've done on the field, and then how much footage. That's why footage is so important. I mean, so I can get a look at them and see what they're like just on the field. So, just in these preseason, I don't want to make this first one too long because I just want it to be more of an introduction and a start to this year. The startings of the rankings come out with the first 2 games. The starting of the rankings is Wednesday, the 4th of May. So there's 2 games that I know of, and that is Palmy and Francis Douglas, and Whanganui Collegiate and New Plymouth. Those are the 2 games on that Wednesday on the 4th, which is coming up. And so those 2 games will be the first ones of our rankings. So whoever wins and whoever loses, it sort of it will count against your rankings and where you sit. And then the reason why I started this week is because on Saturday, the Miles Toyota Championship starts. And because those are the first games of their competition. So for me, I would start it on this week's games starting from Wednesday on, which, and to me, Palmy against Francis Douglas is a really good game. So is Whanganui Collegiate and New Plymouth. Those are some pretty big games and some good games to watch. And so I thought we'll start it on a Wednesday, start the rankings going. And so I will have the year 11 rankings out soon, then the year 12s, then the top 100 teams, and then the top 200 players in the country. And, with preseason starting, getting the rankings right in terms of teams, all is based, and it's even harder this year with COVID that we don't know. We can't get a full scale of how many or how good a team is, because there's a lot of guys that sit out to COVID protocols and all that kind of stuff. Usually we just have to deal with volleyball nationals, water polo nationals, and cricket. And boys sit out for those sort of those sort of reasons. They're still playing other sports, but with the COVID one, it still makes it a bit different. But, I've been able to go out to watch some of the games, and so judging from all the preseason games that I've seen, there's been some really big scores, and I don't know whether to think it's something that's real, but it is kind of confusing. I mean, obviously, if you follow high school top 200 for the last few years, Auckland Grammar is always the school that never has a bad team. But playing against Rotorua boys and Palmy boys was a big eye-opener for them as a struggling team. And then they get to a game like Tauranga boys, like they played yesterday, and beating Tauranga boys as well. And Tauranga boys has got a lot of returning players back and have a really good team. And the lineup that they put out there is like it's not like they're resting anybody. And so that's going to be a hard one to sort of look at and to sort of judge how good Auckland Grammar is going to be. I don't want to put Auckland Grammar too high that they end up falling back to after some quick losses, and it seems like their season's already finished after 5 losses, especially in a competition like the 1A. 5 losses is quite a lot for the 1A because of how hard it is. Look at St. Kennigan's. Like, St. Kennigan's had a really massive win against Whangarei on Saturday. They beat Sacred Heart, which Sacred Heart is also waiting for some players to come back from water polo and also COVID and stuff like that. They had a loss to Hastings boys. Hastings boys had a loss to Kelston boys. Kelston boys had a loss to Westlake boys, and Westlake boys lost to Hamilton boys. And Kelston boys even lost to St. John's College Hamilton, who has been building a program for like the last 5 years and is starting to really pay off. St. John's also lost to Tauranga boys, and Tauranga boys lost to Auckland Grammar, and Rotorua boys beat Auckland Grammar by a college basketball score. If you take all of those kind of things into consideration, it's hard to get a gauge on who should really go where. Because if Rosmini can beat Kings, and Kings can beat Napier, but Napier then gives Kings a hiding, by 50 or 45 points, it does get a bit confusing of how did this really turn out? If Rosmini can beat Kings by 1 point, Kings can then go the next week and beat Napier by 5 points, I think it was. And then Napier go up to Rosmini and then beat them by 45 points. And then play Sacred Heart on Saturday and beat them by 50 points. Does that, what I try and figure out is does that tell me that Rosmini is also better than Sacred Heart? Because that's kind of what it's telling me. It's also telling me that Rosmini is capable of beating Kings. And you kind of look at all these games and put them all together and be like, okay, so from all of these, what am I supposed to take from this? How am I supposed to look at this? And then sort of look at all the preseason games to sort of figure out what kind of landscape we're going to go into, because when I put out the rankings first, I kind of think about all those kind of things to make sure that everybody's in the right position, because I don't want to put someone ranked so high that I've misjudged what the real team kind of was, that they start to fall back week after week after week because I misjudged how a team actually was. It's almost better to put a team lower and go, well, I'm not sure on how these players are going to mesh together. They've got a new coach. They've got a new system. They've lost a few guys that were key players that have been there for 4 years, and now they've got to figure out how this goes. Some boys have moved schools. Some boys have grown over the summer. Things like that. Some boys have got injuries and now they're out for the season, which takes away from the team, and all those kind of things that come together. So those are the kind of things I look at for this. For this preseason and being able to get this top 100 team rankings put together. And yes, we can only go from week to week, but it's still something that I like to look at and sort of figure out, how this is all going to go. And all this kind of stuff too, when I look at it, is really, it's exciting to me because I see these kids as superstars even when they're in high school. That's just the way I look at them. Because I study them so much and watch their games so much, I get excited that, these guys are all going to be the young stars of, New Zealand rugby and the NRL, and, maybe overseas within the next 5 years. That's how close it is sometimes. Sometimes it's only 2 years. I could make a case that high school is a better feeding ground for, talent going into the NPC than club rugby is. I mean, we had guys like Harry Godfrey, who was still 17, turning 18, playing for Hawke's Bay. I mean, even Peter Lakai was the same too. I mean, Shay and Caleb Tangitau, Fini Angarofa was another one as well. Like, all these boys pretty much went straight from high school into pro situations. And if I was to take the numbers of how many high school kids how many club guys got new caps to there from club, I think high school players would win that battle, like year after year. And so, like, sometimes we think about it like a pro career is far away, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's about 7 months, which is a scary thought. It's a scary thought from kids trying to get credits for what they want to do to, I've got to go to a training camp, down in Tauranga, or we've got a training camp down, Hamner Springs or something. It's just like, yeah, because sometimes, obviously you don't get to decide when your number is called to be able to, participate in trying to get your dream running and going, and your career is calling out to you. You may still be 17, things like that. And that's kind of something that, I've always talked about too, and trying to get parents ready as well. Like, I'm a real open book when it comes to parents asking about, what do I have to do for my son next? I mean, like, think about it now, right? Like, some of the top players in New Zealand right now, like Francis Manu Leleua, who was probably going to be, a very high pick for #1 player in the country, has NRL clubs and also New Zealand franchises chasing after him and hoping to get a signature. And, like, he's just one of those guys that you just can't doubt we would see on TV within a year or so. I mean, like, if you look at Peyton Spencer's another one, and from what I've been told, Peyton Spencer from Hamilton Boys is trying to figure out whether he wants to be a cricket player or a rugby player. Now, cricket player, you could go, well, yeah, I can go all over the world with cricket. Like, you could go to the IPL, you can go to, the league in the Caribbean for, all those 2020s and one days, and you got the Big Bash and stuff like that. And I'm not even a cricket watcher at all. Like, my dad's hard out into cricket, so I hear from him. And I've talked to players as well, cricket players around the country, and asking, like, is it a temptation just to go into professional cricket to be just a really good 2020 player because you can make a career out of it? And some of them say, yeah. Some of them say, yeah. Well, some of them don't even want to play, black caps as their first priority. Sometimes it's to get drafted into the IPL, which is like 100% understandable. Especially if you can move their IPL from one competition to the next competition to the next competition, and that's how you make your money, and not even get like a black caps cap at all. It's pretty freaky to like think about. And Peyton Spencer, from what I've been told, is one of those kind of guys. Like, look at Napier Boys. They have, Gus Brown and Max Ratcliffe, who are already physically club players right now, and they're both 17 years old. That's like another one that is like kind of hard to believe, but it's at the same time it's not that far away from a reality. Te Hamana Teote is another one from Rotorua Boys. Him and Aki Tuivailala is another one too from Hamilton Boys, who are like they already look like NPC wingers right now. I mean, Te Hamana can also go to the NRL. I mean, so I guess so can Aki as well. It's like, and also just do damage. Yeah, I watched Cody. I watched Cody Vai from St. Peter's, Cambridge, yesterday. On Saturday, and just seeing how next level some of his movements were, and seeing how easy he just worked through like one stage to the next, going up the field, and just seeing his thought process come out in action. And he really was actually hard to stop. He really was. It was just, it's like you just couldn't read him. You know, you couldn't read what he was going to do. Even Richie down in St. Thomas is another one as a prop, who's also got a prop body straight away. You know, and him and Jack, I think him and Jack Coulthard are probably at that position where they're not that far a step away from New Zealand under 20s. I mean, I saw Adrian as well. Adrian Collins Whara from St. John's, Hamilton, from what last year he was to what he is this year, and seeing the development of his body, seeing how fit and strong he is, how more explosive he is, and the game just looks so easy to him right now. And that sometimes it's one of those things as well where you kind of figure out, okay, when does the game get really easy for some of these guys? And I've seen a lot of them right now, and especially like early in this preseason, just how easy some of these guys are just playing into it. Like I'm still haven't seen a lot of players that I really want to see. Like Lens Monga's another one. I really want to see Ben Donovan, which I hope from St. Bede's, who I hope I get the film for. Yeti Campbell is another one that I really want to see, who's from Scots College. I'm still waiting for that footage. Vernon Bason's another one that from Fielding. You know, Sika Mika is another one. He's a prop from St. Peter's College in Auckland. I just want to see what these guys are kind of like. Like Tane Harvey, when I watched him against Tane Harvey from Palmy Boys, he's their captain at centre. When I watched him against Auckland Grammar, he was just amazing. You know, it's just amazing to what you see. I went to go and see Xavier Taele from St. Kennigan's, who's, I guess, most likely going to be the captain. I don't think they've named one yet, but most likely. And I wanted to see him because I want to see what he's turned out like this year. He's carrying a little bit of injury, but should be back probably in the first round of the Auckland 1A competition. But he's another guy that I kind of just want to see and see how these boys have developed over the summer break. And, you know, being able to appreciate a lot of these guys, being able to watch them develop really is like a real honor to me. And I love that I have this interest and love for this grade of rugby. You know, I still admire how much they are, how good they are here, even at first 15 level. And obviously I do watch them when they get into professionals, but I don't know, I kind of just have this thing about the school spirit. They're having that crest on your chest as well. And the pride that a lot of these guys come out to. The other thing I like is that, you know, I get to go to guys' schools. I get to see the school spirit from the sideline, doing the huckers for their team. You know, I love going to the schools and seeing, you know, places like the Gully and down in New Plymouth. I like to go to the Cage and St. Peter's. Even Rangitoto College has got a really nice scenic view of their rugby field, and watching it. You know, watching games there and seeing that scenic view. I like going to, you know, Rotorua Boys, and I like seeing that they've got their national championships, big posters of them, and the years that they're there, that are up there as well. And I love seeing that kind of school spirit, that I have not seen at other schools, and I wish other schools would do stuff like that. I mean, Wesley's another place, historically, is a great place to go and watch rugby too, just for the feel of it. I wish I would go back to doing more singing on the sideline, but I don't know, it's time to change, I guess. You know, I just like going to see that kind of school spirit stuff. But so these next few days, what you can expect is obviously today there'll be a year 11 ranking going up. Also a year 12 ranking going up. I'm also going to be putting out my other write-ups as well to get ready for the season. And then before the games on Wednesday, we will have all the rankings up, all the player rankings up, all the school rankings up as well. And then season starts on Wednesday, the 4th of May. And also on Wednesday, I will be going to Doctor Strange, because I'm a Marvel geek like that. And so, like, there's going to be a great day for everybody, I guess. And I'm going to love every minute for my last year of this. And it's going to be real cool. It's going to be real cool to see everybody grow up. You know, I still have plans on going. Hopefully, the other thing is, hopefully the under-15s tournament is on this year too. I don't know if they're going to do it in Christchurch like they were supposed to do in the last 2 years. And it's supposed to go from Christchurch to Hamilton and then back down to, I think it was Christchurch again. I think. Something like that. But anyways, this is the start of the 2022 First 15 Rugby season. Last season for me at High School Top 200, but excited. Message me, whatever. Have conversations, you know. Test me, kind of thing. You know, push. You know, if you don't agree with me, please tell me you don't agree with me. Don't just tell me I suck and I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me why I suck and why I don't know what I'm talking about, so that we can have a proper discussion on that. You know, and you know, push my boundaries of what I think is right and all that kind of stuff, so that I can obviously learn from those people out there. I like listening to kids and seeing what their opinions are, because they know players better than anybody else. They've grown up with them and played rugby with them their whole lives. They're usually the ones that tell me a lot of the truth of how good a player actually is or isn't. That's the other thing, is sometimes they tell me how not good they are, like some kids are, and which is funny as well. But yeah, and if I'm on the sideline, you know, come have a chat with me. I'm fine with that. I know that I'm this big Samoan guy my face doesn't always look approachable, but I'm keen to talk to anyone. Like, honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. And I'll just be on the sidelines taking photos, trying to get to as much games as I can. Hopefully I can do some more travels. I'm one of those that works like night shift, and so right in the morning after that I'll be heading off to games, some week games as well, that hopefully I can try and get to as well this year. But that's the first podcast for the season. First one to open up everything up. And we'll catch you at the first games. Have a look out for all the stuff on hstop200.com. Also, like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Send it around to people to get people to know and to keep a track of First 15 Rugby in New Zealand. And that's it. Herschel Fruin, High School Top 200. Peace. Later, ball.